All right. Thank you so much, Keisha. It's always fun to be here with ACCES and their attendees. Thank everyone. I thank you guys so much for joining in and sharing your time with us today. So I'm here with my team. My name's Farah Mohammed, and we will be discussing how to rock your LinkedIn profile. So that's what we will be talking about today. So next, I'll just tell you a little about who I am and, really how I got here. So as mentioned, my name is Farah. I am a digital banking advisor with the newcomer specialist team. So my journey started back in June of 2019 as a client advisor. Many of us know that role as a teller at RBC. We call it a client advisor. And with that, I was able to assist a lot of clients with their day-to-day transactions and just really ensured, the branch was balanced at every close. I provided support to neighboring branches because, we are a community after all. And that really actually helped to build my network within the organization. I enjoyed my role very much and, joined various groups and committees, diversity and inclusion, my personal favorite. And with the support of my manager, I went off to the banking advisor program. And it really wasn't too long after that, I heard about the great work that Naz and Ria were doing here. And I found myself a part of their team. So that is how I got here. So next, I'll actually like to tell you a little about RBC, and then we'll go into some intros from there. And so before we do that, I'll just let you know what the next hour will look like. So we've already heard ACCES's from ACCES. We'll go into about RBC and then introduce our team to you with Ria. Next, we will talk about the presentation. So, how to build your LinkedIn profile, build your personal network, use your network to connect to opportunity, and then finding jobs on LinkedIn. We've also set aside some time for a question and answer period for you. So as Keisha mentioned earlier, please use the chat box, the Q&A to enter any any questions you may have. And we'll definitely get to those towards the end of the seminar. And and then we'll wrap up and finish up with you there. So that's pretty much what the next hour will look like. All right. So so next is really our RBC purpose and vision. So, when you think about an organization, it's important to know, the purpose and vision. It's something that is meant to inspire you, and it can only do so really if you kind of share the same. So with RBC, its purpose is helping clients thrive and communities prosper. Our vision is to be amongst the world's most trusted and successful financial institutions. But, it's not just about purpose and vision. Like us, an organization must also have values. So even though we're an organization of like 86,000 employees, and counting, along with them, Ria, Felipe, Naz, and myself, we're all guided by the same set of values, the RBC values. So we put client first. We always earn the right to be our client's first choice. We understand our clients, which help build lasting relationships. We show them empathy and care and bring the best of RBC by offering the right advice and solutions. Next is collaboration. We work together by believing and trusting in teamwork. With the collaboration of our partners and community, we win as one RBC. Accountability. We take ownership and responsibility. Diversity and inclusion. RBC embraces diversity, as you can see here today. We speak up for inclusion and empower people to grow and achieve more together. And last, but definitely not least, is integrity. We hold ourselves to the highest of standards to build trust. So that's a little bit about, RBC and the organization we work for. Next, I'd actually like to pass it to Ria to introduce herself and the lovely team members that I get to be with.
Thank you so much, Farah. I completely agree with you. It's such a great day, even though it's cloudy and overcast, but just being here with ACCES and their participants to be able to share our knowledge is such a great day for us. So good morning, and thank you for joining and investing in yourself, simply by just being here, or maybe you want to learn how to begin building your network and advancing your career by discovering strategies and tips for building your profile. Maybe you're ready to find employment opportunities, or connecting with professionals in your field. So as you can see, my name is Ria. I am an advisor at the Newcomer Specialist team, and I joined RBC back in 2008 when I initially moved from the US. And I wanted to choose an organization that aligns with me, and my vision and my values, and I chose RBC back in 2008. I chose an organization that's really invested in its employees and its clients as well. We've created unique branches all around Canada. And we're not the typical style branch. We're one bank with many doors, and ours is virtual. So I'm thrilled to be able to tell you about our unique location virtually. And on our next slide is our wonderful team. Nazanin is our leader, and we have Felipe and Farah, who you all just heard from, but we also have Felipe here with us too. We're all banking advisors. We're all advisors at the Newcomer Specialist team, in fact, and we're here to provide, just the support, the guidance, the resources, the information, any sort of connections to the newcomer community, just to make your settlement in Canada as easy as possible. We're all guided by the same set of principles. Yes, we're a tiny branch. However, we do have a strong support team throughout GTR, ranging from different departments, different branches within the market and neighboring markets as well. But we could not have done this on our own. We actually rely on our community partners, just like today with ACCESS Employment. We're grateful for partners like ACCESS Employment, who's our key partner throughout this journey. Together, we're able to reach more clients and more communities with the value beyond banking, showcasing the strength of One RBC and ACCESS Employment at the same time. And again, we are so proud of the winning partnership in the community due to our presence, our team, and especially with our events. We have financial literacy events and beyond banking events. Here, we're able to provide tailored events based on the host organization clientele. And with these events, we're able to provide advice on the Canadian banking system. We do know it varies from country to country. And of course, with our beyond banking pieces, just providing the advice based on our experiences, like today, rock your LinkedIn profile. So I do hope you have a better understanding about RBC as an organization, our newcomer specialist team, who's all here with you, and the highlight of the event. I'll hand it back to Farah to get us started.
All right, thank you so much, Ria. Yeah, so I'll get you started off today. So build your network and advance your career on LinkedIn. So really, how important is it to build your network and advance your career on LinkedIn? Now, did you know that when someone Googles your name, your LinkedIn profile will show up 90% of the time on the first page of Google? So, naturally, my next question is, are you on LinkedIn? And that's really what today is about. So if you are, or you're not, you can use the chat box if you like to comment yes, no, maybe you're not yet, deciding after today's seminar. So feel free to use that chat box there to let me know if you are on LinkedIn or not. And really, the reason I ask this is because, if I'm a recruiter and I'm looking to fill a position and I turn to LinkedIn, which is a lot of recruiters, will I come across your, resume or profile, right? And for those of you who have been using LinkedIn, what is one word that you can use to describe your experience so far? So, feel free to use the chat box there to use that word, right? If you think about LinkedIn and the interaction and the activity that you've done on there, right? What is one word that you can use to describe your experience so far? So, I can tell you for me, it's definitely been networking. I see we've got, useful, wonderful. I'm happy that it is useful for you because that's the whole idea here. And if it's not, for those of you who haven't had that experience, I hope by the end of today's seminar, we can definitely change that to it being useful for you. So, I do have a lot of people who see my profile and reach out to me asking about banking for newcomers to Canada, because really that is what I have listed under my headline, here to welcome and support newcomers. So, today, most recruiters, talent acquisition specialists, hiring managers, and HR professionals are turning to LinkedIn to learn more about you beyond your traditional resume or cover letter. So let's take a look at some of those stats on our next slide. So, as a recruiter using LinkedIn, you can see here that 95% of Fortune 500 companies use LinkedIn for recruiting to search for new talent. And over 300,000 companies, which also includes small businesses, are on there as well. So when recruiters are looking, what does your LinkedIn profile say about you? And, really, what do you want it to say? And, how do you want potential employers to view you and your brand? So knowing that you need to stand out as an applicant in order to make, that transition from applicant to viable candidate, you can't just think of LinkedIn as a place, to copy and paste your resume. And I know that sounds easy and we want it to be easy, but later on you'll find out the great tool that they are, and it really can become easy. And I'm sure you're laughing because a lot of us, including myself, really was guilty of kind of just copying and pasting my resume for every single job that I was applying for. And they were all different jobs, right? So LinkedIn really has the best social media platform to be, your true authentic self, so that you can make a meaningful connection. You want to be able to share your passion about climate change or how important diversity and inclusion is to you. This is really where now your resume is able to come to life. So your authentic LinkedIn profile will help you start, those conversations that will go on to help build your knowledge and networks with an impact. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. As you can see here, 20.5 million people on LinkedIn are open to new job opportunities. And really more than 30 million employers with over 20 million available jobs on any given day. And 100 million job applicants submitted every month. So it is clear that LinkedIn is a very active employment service, and we can all use a little bit of help when it comes to careers or job hunting. It's a great resource to utilize to help connect you to your next opportunity. So what can LinkedIn do for you? Let's have a look at 4 components that can make a difference on your, on our next slide. So looking at the screen, here are the 4 components of LinkedIn. So first up is develop. Your next is connect, stay informed, and the one we all want is to get hired. So let's get into these a little deeper, starting with the first one, developing your professional brand and voice. So how do you do that? Let's take a look. So first up, we'll start by building your LinkedIn presence. So number 1, what you need to help you get started. We'll talk about the key differences between a resume and your LinkedIn profile. Third, we'll give you some profile photo tips. Next, we'll cover off how to edit your profile, and we'll end with tips on how to develop your professional voice. Okay, so you may hear that your profile is similar to a resume, but there is a big difference between your LinkedIn profile and your resume. Your LinkedIn profile will speak to all potential employers, not just a single one, and it goes into much more detail with skills, projects, interests, certifications, and more. While you only have one LinkedIn profile, you ideally have a separate resume for every job you apply for, each carefully tailored to fit that requirement of a role. So remember, earlier I had mentioned that, I was using that same resume to apply for jobs, and these jobs varied in title. So definitely that was not something that was working for me. And this is really what you want to be able to do here, is have a separate resume that's tailored for that job that you're applying for. So profiles aren't written with a specific position in mind, because it needs to include enough information to appeal to a wide audience, to paint a complete picture of you and your various skills and strengths. Your resume, on the other hand, as I mentioned earlier, should feature only information that is 100% relevant to the needs of a specific position and the interests of the hiring manager. Now, LinkedIn will also require some tailoring, as you want to tell a specific story, but not to the same degree as your resume. Now, the length and level of detail they do vary in difference between the two. A major difference between a resume and LinkedIn profile is the depth. So your online profile is a platform you can use to tell your story, but when you write a resume, you don't have the same luxury of space. So recruiters will quickly want to scan this document to get every detail that they can see in that few seconds. So while you still need to present your career path, you can do so, and you have to do so in far, fewer words. Certain details, like all technicalities of a major project that you supervise, you'll have to save that for the interviewing process. So LinkedIn includes recommendations and endorsements you can obtain from your connections. LinkedIn also allows you to add attachments, hyperlinks, videos, presentations, skills and recommendations from former colleagues. This is simply to, and that's simply obviously not possible when you're submitting a resume. Now, another key difference is privacy. So LinkedIn is a public platform. Anyone in your network has access to all the information you include here. So for this reason, you have to be careful about the details you choose to share. So for instance, you should never list your physical address on your LinkedIn profile. Your resume, however, is a private document. So, there's more room to include specific facts that could make your case stronger for your employment, as your resume will only be seen by the recruiter. Now, in order to make your LinkedIn profile more professional, it's essential to include a professional profile picture. The importance of a professional profile picture gets you a chance to make a good first impression. And this is just as important on social media as any part of your life. You want to choose a profile that says a lot about you and how you want to be portrayed. So keep in mind that, this is the opposite when it comes to your resume. You should not include a photo. Hiring managers consider resumes with photos or pictures unprofessional. So that's kind of like a key difference between your LinkedIn profile and your resume. And another thing to keep in mind is, pictures are not always applicant ATS friendly. So, many larger hiring managers use a software called applicant tracking system to automatically filter through job applications and remove unqualified applicants. So just, in case, because of that picture, your resume might not get scanned or get scanned out because it wasn't able to be read. So it's ultimately safer just to keep it risk-free and keep your resume simple and photo-free. So on the next slide, you'll see some tips on how to take a great photo. So look to get this done professionally, if possible, right? And if you can't, no, that's not a problem. A simple cell phone can really do wonders, especially with the technology and the phones that we have today. So, just keep in mind that, do not use a photo that you have other people in. It should simply just be yourself, and definitely something that is clear and a viewable photo. Like mentioned, you want to use a background that isn't distracting. Dress for the job you want, smile and have a friendly expression, and make sure your face takes up majority of the frame. And really, all this can get you up to 21 times more views. Now, right underneath your photo is your headline, which takes us to our next slide. So your headline is an opportunity to show, what you are, not just what you do. So this is where you're going to want to create an interesting and compelling headline statement. This is where you can come alive, so you're marketing yourself. Think about the audience you want to attract. Now ask yourself, if you were scrolling through a LinkedIn profile and came across your profile, would you be compelled to click on it and want to find out more? And realistically, that's what it's about. So, when you're writing your headline, think about the questions on the screen. Is this the only thing someone sees, about me? What does it say, right? Does this represent my professional brand and, show why I am unique? And does it capture what a recruiter would care about? Use the space to grab your reader's attention so that they want to know more about you. Now, we've talked about your photo and your headline. What's the next thing someone else would see? So definitely it's going to be your summary. And we are going to have a look at that. So, how many of you have read a person's summary section and were left, uninspired, or maybe stopped reading altogether because it just felt bland or it didn't interest you? Talk in first person so that it is authentic to your readers. If this is about you, then you need to make it about you. Have fun with your journey and all that you've done. Highlight those moments in time that you're most proud of and make it loud and clear. Start with 1 to 2 sentences about who you are and give us some authentic flavor and what you stand for. Next, your third and fifth sentence, talk about your experience, your top skills, key passions. This way, we get to know more about you and the value you could bring to an organization, a team or project. And lastly, your first or your last two sentences should be about, your future goals. Are you looking to build and grow your network? Are you looking to offer advice to the next generation? Let it be clear and concise, what it is you're looking for and what it is that you want to do. So, now let's talk about editing the rest of your profile. So by clicking on the Me icon at the top of your LinkedIn homepage, and then clicking on Add New Profile section, you'll be able to add, your location and industry, education and certifications, work, internship and volunteer experience, skills, programs, organizations, and recommendations. So really, this is a wonderful tool to add so much information about yourself, and it's all in one spot where recruiters can see and get that information right away. All this is great information, as I mentioned, for a recruiter to come across, your profile. And, really, if they're at this point, this means that you've done an excellent job, with your headline and summary, and they want more. So next, I'd actually like to pass it over to Ria to continue on what LinkedIn can do for you.
Thank you so much, Farah, for sharing your insights on, just how to build your LinkedIn presence. So we are sharing a lot of information, to provide some great tips and strategies. You're more than welcome to take notes. We actually encourage you to do that. So now that we've talked about the details within your profile, I wanted to cover out how you can connect with the professional world within LinkedIn. So how do you go about, building your LinkedIn professional network? So you want to start by building your professional network. And that simply means that you're connecting with people. You're also discovering existing and searching for those new connections, all the while expanding your network strategically. So I want to expand on that a bit, on why is building your network important. So it's important because it helps you to locate industry professionals who can review your resume and application materials. They can also coach you through the interview process. They can connect you with potential job opportunities. Your professional network is a group of contacts that you have developed, you've grown with, and you can stay connected with throughout your career. So I have a wonderful did you know slide. So it's just a quick one. We are a bank, so we do like providing numbers. So on our next slide, just some quick stats for you. 50% of all hires resulted from a personal connection. LinkedIn members are 4 times more likely to get hired when they're referred. So I actually am part of that 50% because I had a sister-in-law within RBC at the time back in 2008 when I joined RBC, and she used her personal connections within HR to actually get me the job at RBC. So I'm quite thankful for her, and I'm happy to be part of that statistic. So now moving on to our next slide. It's quite an intense one, so I wanted to cover it. It looks like a huge spider web. And just some stats about LinkedIn. It has approximately 740 million members and over 55 million registered companies. So that's a lot of connections and a lot of opportunities to tap into. So really and truly, everyone has a network. Even though you may not realize it just yet, networking occurs every time you meet new friends or acquaintances. It is a key factor in the career advancement. And as I mentioned previously, over 50% of workers currently, employed found their job through that personal connection. So your network typically consists of those strong connections, which are the people that you know really well and you've interacted with. And there's also those weak connections. So those weak connections are the ones that you may not know personally, but you have a similar background, you have a similar interest, or even just 1 or 2 mutual connections. So now to untangle and break down this spider web for you. So on LinkedIn, it's your first degree connections, and these are the people that are already in your network. And then the second degree connections are the people you share a connection with. So the third degree connections are connected to your second degree connections. So it is proven that your weak connections, so your second and third, are the ones that are most valuable to you and your job search than the stronger connections. um, the network is more diverse than your own. And I think that's so ironic because you would think your first degree connections is more valuable, but it's actually your second and third degree connections. So to add more connections, you visit the My Network tab from your homepage. LinkedIn will automatically group potential connections into classifications for you. So essentially by geography, by your past college, employer, etc. So essentially your focus here would be to convert as many of your second and your third degree connections into direct connections to establish a closer direct relationship with them. So that's essentially your goal and what you're trying to achieve on LinkedIn. So by using LinkedIn, you can create a wider network of working professionals to grow and nurture relationships with, and begin to create a circle of contacts that are exclusively yours. So let's take a look at the next slide, where now you would be very, more strategic in expanding your network. So at the top of LinkedIn, there is a search window besides, the word, besides that, there's a word advanced. So if you click on that, it will take you to a page where you can customize your search on LinkedIn. So you can search by location, by company, by industry, and so on and so forth. So if you're trying to connect with a specific type of person, do your search from there on the advanced function. This is one of the biggest advantages of LinkedIn. You can search many different fields with 3 degrees of separation, that first, second, and third one I was talking about. So now adding connection is the biggest part of LinkedIn, but but unlike most social media sites, the ones that we're more familiar with, the Facebook, the Instagram, and so on, trying to connect with someone, can send the wrong signal sometimes. Doing so can seem like you're networking for your own sake rather than actually trying to build your professional network. So you want to make sure you don't send the wrong signal on LinkedIn. And before you add someone on your network, ask yourself, would this person talk to me about a job or recommend me to an employer? So that would be, your first question to ask yourself. If the answer is yes, then maybe it is a good idea to connect with this connection. On LinkedIn, you can connect with people you have something in common with, or people who have a job or work at a company that really, really interests you. When I've reached out to someone on LinkedIn, I typically include who I am, how I found their profile, how I can help them, and perhaps how they can help me in the process. People are really busy, so you really want to get to the point quickly, but in a more professional and friendly manner, of course. So on our next slide, I'll share on how making that network that you've built, making that really and truly work for you. So now that you've got your network, feel free to message your connections now. So it's important to understand how to connect with someone on LinkedIn in a way that puts them at ease. So you want to stay from that generic request that takes place when you click on the word connect. So we're all sort of prone to click just, that quick connect tab, and then it automatically connects you to that person. So my recommendation is instead, click on the individual's profile, obviously skim the profile. Profile page, and then connect, click on the connect button there, because this way it brings up a box that allows you to add a personal note to the connection request. Something simple as good to meet you last week, or good to meet you on July 5th at this event, rock your LinkedIn profile with ACCESS Employment. Let's keep in touch. This is always a nice touch rather than that generic one that, is sent out when you hit that connect button. So this is just one of the recommendations that I wanted to give to you. And on top of the personalized note, it's okay to ask, for that informational virtual coffee chat when you've connected. It's okay to ask for a request referrals to from the person, that you know. You can reach out to a past boss or a colleague for a recommendation, and remember to add value, to engage, and also to have fun in the process. So now you may be asking, how do I add value? How do I do all these things you're talking about, Ria? So I'll tell you on my next slide. So you want to add value and engage in many ways as possible. So whatever stage of your career that you might be networking, and it doesn't stop, and it shouldn't stop at that stage. So you want to invest time in your connections. And as I mentioned in my previous slide, request that virtual coffee chat. I place a strong emphasis on virtual unless you want to have 7 coffees a day and you want to meet with 7 people in person. I really emphasize the virtual ones, and it's quite convenient for a lot of people. Also, the virtual ones, like I said, it's more convenient for the person that you're also sending the request to. So you want to take that into consideration. I always like to give the option and let them decide. Liking and sharing is a great way to add value and show some engagement. So when a connection likes or shares or comments on your status update, their connections are more likely to see your original post on their feed. And if the content seems relevant, those second-degree connections that I spoke about earlier, they may take a step and reach out to you and send you an invitation to connect with you. So liking and sharing things and even commenting, it means that you're engaging with the current connections. And that puts your profile directly in front of their network. And all it takes is a simple like or a comment on their post. So comments is a short, and quick, something like great thoughts, thank you for sharing. Those are the simple, quick ones. That can help you expand and reach. And, quite honestly, it is a considerate thing to do when someone's thoughts and contents, do resonate with you. Commenting also is a great way to add value and engage. With your personal insights or questions can increase engagement and exposure even more. And engagement also adds depth and meaning, helping transform connections into those relationships that you're essentially trying to build. Another pro tip is adding images to your comments or post. It does increase engagements with people in your existing network, and it does boost exposure to those potential connections. So mix it up a little bit. Don't always share links, include visuals. Thirdly, you can join groups and exchange insights. So LinkedIn is known and famously known for groups that allows you to, you can reach your niche audience of that industry, the professionals, and establish relationships with people by having something, in common with. All you have to do is type in, those keywords related to your industry. You'll find tons of LinkedIn groups to choose from. And lastly, and one of my favorites, is giving testimonials and recommendations to people you've connected with in the past. So I recalled one of my colleagues, he actually left RBC, but he asked me to write him a recommendation last year, and he returned the favor by actually writing one for me. And it was sort of understood, and I didn't know that back then, but I understand now. It's sort of, it's understood and it's sort of expected. So if you ask for a recommendation, the polite way is to reciprocate and give one back. So I just wanted to share that, just something I learned last year about it. And then on our next slide, we want to continue to essentially optimize your network. As I remember, and as I mentioned before, it's okay to ask for those informational interview. So first and foremost, I want to define what that informational interview is. For those of you that may not be too familiar with, an informational interview is an information conversation with someone who works in a career of interest to you. It differs from a formal job interview in that you ask questions, you more so gain information about the industry or a specific company. You can even say it's part of your research phase for that job search and your way to pursue, those open positions within that organization. Once you've determined who you want to ask for help, here's some tips that you can request on the job in the informational job interview through email. So, naturally be prepared before you send an email. Use a thoughtful subject line, like a really eye-catching and something very thought-provoking. Be concise. Briefly describe yourself. Explain how you found them. Acknowledge their accomplishments. That's really, really important. Directly ask for help, but be considerate in the process. So that's just some tips, how you can go about asking for that informational interview. And now, lastly, here's an example how you can request a referral. So make sure you include why you're interested in the specific role. Here you can see Kate didn't flat out ask for the referral. She was quite professional in the request. And if you have a moment to read it, the actual words were, would you be willing to share any information on the position the team that might be looking for in a candidate? So it's a well-structured question and it has many pieces. With that, you can request what you want to state. Your appreciation for the connection is also a nice way to tack on there. But here's another fun fact. Did you know that 60% of the workforce was referred by someone at the company that they work with? And I too have done this many times since I've joined RBC. We tend to refer other people, just because we know what our organization stands for, we know what we get here as an employee, and it's always great to, I guess, pay it forward, if you will, and refer someone too. So now that I've shared on building your professional network and also making that work for you, Farah would like to share on how to stay connected by being informed with the industry news as well.
All right, thank you, Ria. Yeah, so next let's talk about staying informed. So how do you stay informed? Stay connected to the companies that matter most to you by simply just following them. You can do this by following the company's page, search for them under companies in the search box, and that will, bring up a list. And then from there, you can, see who you like and, follow them from there. So, following a company helps you stay on top of news, trends, new product launches, and even job opportunities. It makes it easy to gather information, to trigger a conversation when you finally get that opportunity. A recruiter can see now how passionate or invested you are in their company or organization. And this will definitely help you, as you'll have many things to touch on and use as examples. Now, in addition to following companies, you can gain insights by following LinkedIn influencers. So, follow industry influencers to stay on top of key trends, topics, and insights from the people you respect and admire. When you follow an influencer, you can see their activity across the LinkedIn feed. So by following key influencers, who you share the similar thoughts and ideas with, you are not only able to increase your presence on the internet by reposting articles you found interesting, but you're also able to display that you too are on top of your game when it comes to, real world trends and concepts. Now, in addition to gaining industry insights and staying informed on what matters to you, you can leverage LinkedIn to find what you care about by using the advanced search feature. So, leveraging the skill sets, interests, values, and what we discussed earlier is, use the search function to find content to stay informed on things that matter, that are important to you. So for example, if you're interested in renewable energy, type that in the search bar and the advanced filters will appear. From there, you can narrow your search down by people, posts, jobs, and more. So it's really kind of doing that work for you. Now, LinkedIn is a great resource, and it's important to know how to get the most out of it. You can stay in touch with colleagues, past and present. You never know when your paths will cross again. And and now I would actually like to pass it back over to Ria to conclude with our fourth component.
Thank you so much, Farah. Yes, just continuing on, we're kind of pressed for time at the moment now. So first, you have to decide where you want to work. Then research who works there before you actually apply for the job. Here are some steps that I wanted to cover off that you might want to follow up on your job search. You can actually you can start by getting the LinkedIn job search app, and then set your career interest, and then search for the jobs within your interest as well. So don't forget to capitalize on the network that you've actually built. Follow the companies you admire or aspire to work in, and then my favorite part is then apply. So, on our next slide, you want to let employers and recruiters know that you're actively looking for a job by setting yourself to an open candidate and then updating your career interest. We also, as I mentioned, there is the LinkedIn job search app, and this is an additional tool that can help you stay on top of your job search. For example, you get notified when the application has been viewed, which is, you want to know that first and foremost. And even when one of your saved jobs is about to expire, you get a notification for that. Or when there's a new job that meets the search criteria that you've set. So you set those parameters, and then you get a notification for that. The app is available on the App Store and the Google Play Store as well, so you want to take advantage of that. For those of you that are actively searching, of course. And then on our next slide, when you're searching for jobs, use the search criteria, search the words, job title, company, location, function, industry, experience level. You can even search by the date posted using those LinkedIn search filters. Once you've typed in, that query and then clicked in the search button, pay attention, to the options LinkedIn offers you on the right column of the results page. You can focus in on the search results, on a specific employer, even on the location. I like using the date one as well because it gives you the ranges from within the last 24 hours to any time, and that's the default that you can set. It's also a great idea to start with fairly a broad search within, a limited number of parameters, and then keep adding filters, and then you'll see obviously it keeps narrowing down, and then you get a reasonable number of positions where you can review. So now on my the last step, and one of my favorite ones, is the exciting moment where it's time to apply. So on each job posting, you'll see the easy apply, or apply on the company website button to apply for a job. It's a matter of preference with this option. With the easy apply option, it allows you to apply for the job with just a few clicks by submitting the information from your LinkedIn profile. But my personal preference is to use the apply on the company's website option. Here you get to write a personalized cover letter with every application you send. So this is just my personal favorite. You want to, give that added touch, whatever is going to help you. The easy apply option, does give you a quick a method, but I prefer to do the one on the company website. So this brings us to the end of our presentation. My final food for thought, and for networking, it can be intimidating. I don't dispute that. I know we've shared a lot of information. I hope you found it, really helpful. At the same time, I do hope you can put some of our strategies into motion. And by doing so, you can increase your chances of meeting the right people and taking your career in the direction that you're aiming for. So good luck, wherever your LinkedIn journey takes you. And now we want to open it up for your wonderful questions. So we'll get to that piece. We'll take our questions. We'll actually share our contact information if you want to connect with us more one-on-one. And then Keisha will wrap it up with, her final thoughts and then for the upcoming event. So we can definitely get started with the questions. Did I miss any?
I see that there was a comment from Dominic saying that.
Oh, Dominic is one of my favorites. Dominic attends all our events. Dominic, you're our favorite man.
And so he's saying
Trinidad, and he's attended many of our events. So
Oh,
he's
nice.
always sharing his knowledge and his expertise as well with us. So thank you for joining, Dominic. I'm going to take a quick run through of your comments here.
So, yeah, basically he's saying here, I'm on LinkedIn and I get a lot of people peeking at me. And I really, and I think really that's the idea here, right? So
Yeah,
you're obviously, doing something right that people are coming, and looking at your profile. It's really that traffic that you want to get, geared towards yourself and create that, advertisement for yourself. So your summary, or maybe it might just be your profile picture, that's bringing them to your profile. But that's definitely, a step in the right direction from your comment there.
it could be his profile picture because he did say he took the time to take a professional one. So great job on that. I commend you on that, Dominic. But yes, I completely agree with Farah. You want people peeking in on your profile because that's the whole point. You want them to take a look. You want them to see, hey, this guy, his profile is very interesting. He has a very interesting career. He's done so well for himself. He's done so much for himself. Hey, he could be a great addition to the team. So those are the aha moments you want people to have when they actually look at your profile. So great job, Dominic, and thank you again for sharing.
Yes. We have a few questions here, guys. I'm going to get to one of Dominic's questions at the end because that one was really interesting too. But there's some here that says, Shivani says, how useful is LinkedIn Premium in terms of visibility and hiring?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I was looking
sorry,
for the question myself.
How useful is LinkedIn Premium in terms of visibility and hiring? I guess that's when you pay for LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know too much about LinkedIn Premium, just because I don't want to pay for it. But that's just my personal opinion. So I don't know
what?
much about it.
That's great. Actually, I'll tap into that a little bit. Actually,
Yeah.
LinkedIn Premium is, in terms of visibility and hiring, like if you're networking, because you got to remember that LinkedIn is not just it's a social media platform for professionals. So you'll definitely be visible, and hiring process it's very similar. I think when it comes to paying for premium, there's a lot more things you can do in regards to the profiles that you can actually see. For example, like if you don't have if you don't have the premium, there's certain profiles you cannot see. And I say this from experience because when I was looking up for certain professionals, like Farah and Ria talked about influencers or people who are in specific industries, one thing I do on the side is I do music. So when I wasn't able to see these profiles, it was because I didn't have premium. I believe you can connect with them a little bit easier as well. In regards to visibility and hiring, I don't really know if that really plays a huge aspect. I know just by being connected with them and being active, the visibility and hiring is something that can help you. And I say this from experience because Ria, Farah, and myself are very active on LinkedIn, and we get a lot of traffic coming to our pages. And we don't have premium. So I think it's more so about how active you are on it and what you're sharing and how people are engaging with you. Because again, this is a social media platform, but premium is not a bad thing in case you want to tap in a little bit deeper when it comes to seeing certain profiles or being part of certain groups, I believe. Hope that answered your question. We have another question here. It says, I studied chemical engineering and now I'm a front-end developer. Should I write my bachelor and master degree on my profile?
I think you should. You've earned that accreditation. I think you should be very proud of it and put it on your profile. It will definitely help. It does show your diverse background, so I encourage it personally.
I second off on that as well. I think that is something good that you should definitely put in there that can help you. Put anything that can really help you, to be honest, have the spotlight on you. Don't leave valuable information out. A question from Mona says, hi, I have many connections from my home country who may not be related to my Canadian job seeking process. Should I remove them from my connections? I'm assuming her references or her contacts.
I don't think so. the reason why, again, you know, you've earned all those along the way of your experience and everything that you've worked hard for. So I don't think you should remove them. I think it will just boost, you know, boost your chances personally, I think.
You know, to be honest, I think that you really never know when your paths might cross again, right? And this individual, you know, or the people that are on your LinkedIn profile, you know, you may share the same interests and the same likes, right? And you're still able, you know, now with today's technology, you can be a part of so many things, and you don't have to be in the same country, right? To be a part of something. So, you know, if you share the same interests, right, or the same passion for something, you can still be connected like that. But like I said, you know, it's you may your paths may cross again. So really, it's wonderful to have people on LinkedIn, because there might somebody that you might come across where you want to reach out to that person because you know they've had the experience, and it's great to have them there as a contact. So definitely, I would say, you know, keep them for sure, because that's, you know, showing your growth and you building from there.
Definitely, definitely. It is a good, and again, we live in the age of, you know, the internet now, you know, technology is highly advanced. So, you know, having your reference there and them being able to contact them through email is not a bad idea either, right? Especially if you don't have any experience here in Canada. Don't shy away, because again, if it can help you, just leave it there, or you can let them know, you can provide them the references or your connections upon, you know, request. Dominic had a question here, and I think this is a great one too. It says, I have been offered a month of LinkedIn Premium by LinkedIn. Should I take it? I'd like to tap in on that question. I think, Dominic, to be honest, and this goes for everyone, when you get these offers, I definitely say go for them if they're free, but keep in mind also to put a date expiry on when this expires, because what happens is when you take these, you know, free offers of using, you know, the premium services, you have to put credit card information in, because if you forget to unsubscribe, they'll just continue charging you for the premium offer until you actually unsubscribe or stop. So if you want to take advantage of that and see what it has to offer, if it's worth your while having a premium, you know, platform to use on their platform, then go for it. You know, take it in, observe if it's something that you actually need. But like I say, always put in like a reminder 2 days before, you know, the expiry comes up to unsubscribe, because if you don't, then definitely you're going to be charged for these premium offers that these companies will offer you. We'll squeeze in one more question if possible. And it says, thank you very much for this valuable information, dear Ria Rakdir. If it won't take a lot of your time, could you brief on underemployed immigrants? How can we be on your team? Thank you very much.
Oh, that's such a great question. So the underemployed immigrants, I think, you know, even with our job search events that we have, you know, and our resume tips and tricks, you know, we're always sharing with our knowledge and expertise that, you know, that we've learned and taken along the way from, you know, from the HR team. And it's a matter of, you know, enhancing your resume. It's a matter of luck. Farah always says this too. It's a matter of luck, you know, and your chance and your opportunity to shine. So, you know, we can connect with you one-on-one for that, just to give that one-on-one and review your resume and try to, you know, and ACCES provides this as well, but, you know, just help in any way that we can in that way. And, you know, we can definitely post our job link for you to apply. And you know, if we have our personal connections with an RBC, we can definitely help with whatever we can. So, I mean, just reach out to us directly. Our team is here. On our next slide, we have our contact information. So if you can move over to the next slide, it's our contact information. And, you know, scan the barcode, and our information will populate. Send us an email and we will book, you know, that informational interview, that coffee chat. We will definitely book time with you for that, and we can, you know, just have a really good conversation and find ways to help you, because that's why we're here.